Hey guys, Lucas Parker here. Just want to share some reflections and a bit of a recap from my weekend at the 2014 CrossFit Games Canada West Regional. I'm just doing my last little ice bath here before I head out to weightlifting nationals tomorrow in Saskatoon. So it's been a pretty busy couple weekends for me here. Start with some just sort of general reflections on the weekend. I had a few sort of goals going into it. Priority one, obviously, was to earn a trip back to Carson for the fourth year in a row, which I was able to do. That would have required me to place either first or second in the regional. I wasn't too picky with that. Priority two was to make sure I was perfectly uninjured and super healthy after the weekend. So if I had to take a couple knocks and bangs to earn a trip to California, I was willing to do that. But ideally, I'd be 100% and able to train pretty hard leading up to the games. So I think I accomplished priority two. And priority three was then to go balls out on the workouts and set world records and stuff like that, which was not accomplished. So that sort of will factor into my some of my reflections and how I train in the coming weeks. This year was pretty interesting. The flavor of the workouts overall was a little bit different than in years past. I'd say this year in particular was very sort of, it required a lot more kind of athleticism, and a lot of sort of clutch performances were highly rewarded. So what I mean by that is if you had great work capacity, that's awesome. If you had good strength, that's awesome. And even if you had really good skills, that's awesome. But to express those in some high pressure situations was fairly unique this year. What I mean by that is the way some of the workouts were designed, there was not a lot of room for error. In the, for example, in the snatch and the handstand walk, some of it was kind of an all or nothing thing. You only had 3 attempts on the snatch, and you only had, one shot basically on the handstand walk. And if you wanted to unlock further distances, you had to make it the whole way across. And then if you look at like the last workout 7, it is like a really short time frame. And if you were able to sort of nut up at the end of the weekend and, do bigger sets of pull-ups and lock in that overhead squat, you were rewarded. Whereas if you got a little bit tired or wavered slightly, you were going to lose 20 or 30 seconds right there. And then if you look at some of the movement choices like the legless rope climbs, if there's 10 legless rope climbs in the workout and you miss 1 rep or you get no rep, that's essentially 10% of your workout that's kind of gone to waste. So some big sort of kind of interesting high pressure situations this weekend. And I think you saw that reflected in who came out on top. In our region anyways, we had Tyson Takasaki, who's played football at a pretty high level. You had Brent Fikowski, who's played volleyball at a fairly high level. They both did really well through the whole weekend. On the women's side, we had Emily Abbott, who this was her first year of regionals, and she came first. And I think she used to play basketball fairly competitively. And then we had Emily Beers on the podium, and she's an all-star athlete in previous years, playing basketball, doing some rowing, and I think as a younger girl doing gymnastics at a fairly high level. So you could tell that the backgrounds of the athletes came through in their ability to rise to the occasion. I felt pretty good this year. My recovery between events and day to day is better than it's ever been. I think that's because of some of the changes I've made in the off season with regard to my schedule and my nutrition. The stress of the weekend definitely came back and bit me. A couple days afterwards, I guess on Tuesday night, I came down with some sort of big flu bug, which I think some of the other spectators and athletes did, so there may have been something going around at regionals. But regardless, if you jam hundreds of sweaty people into a crowded space and have everyone touching barbells and sharing sort of food areas and everything, you're going to pass some bugs around. So I did come down with a little bit of something. But other than that, I felt pretty good. Some specific reflections on the events. My weights weren't as high as I would have liked to be on that hang snatch, especially if I'm going to compare to other regions. But I did what I needed to do. I think I played it safe by by opening with a fairly conservative weight, and then I tried for a much higher one. I think I took a big jump from 255 to 280, and I missed the 280. It would have been nice if I made it, but I was sort of secure with taking a moderate weight in that workout. Handstand walk, I would have liked to make the 2 full lengths and unlock a third attempt, but I haven't really been doing any heavy lifting for the last month. I haven't been doing a lot of handstand walking for the last couple months because I got some sort of wrist arthritis stuff going on. So I had to sort of settle for those. So I was quite happy I was able to come back on event 3, the Nasty Girls V2, and take a first place in the regional to sort of set my head right on the Friday. Nasty Girls, I honestly found it pretty easy. I think it required an above average level of skill and mobility and balance and all that sort of good stuff. So I think that suited me. There's definitely a big conditioning factor there with the 150 pistols to sort of amp up your heart rate in between the skills. But yeah, it went pretty well. I was very happy with my conditioning. Event 4, the 21:15 963. I think I did well on that event because I broke up the front squats early. I didn't get into my own head and say, oh, well, you like doing heavy lifting, so you should go unbroken on those 21 reps. I very well may have been able to do 21 front squats unbroken, but the fatigue that would instill in the core and the shoulders and the upper back would, I think, take me down in subsequent rounds. So I paced that one well. Event 5 I wasn't super happy with, simply because I feel like I could have done another 10 rounds at that pace. I kept waiting for my grip to fail, and it just didn't happen. So I mean, I guess that's a good thing, but it's tough because I didn't really practice any of these workouts, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, how they would feel. In hindsight, I just would have gone faster, run faster, climb faster, do everything faster. I think that's a workout where I could have set a world best time, but maybe next time. Event 6, that was definitely the hardest one for me. The workout that was most outside my wheelhouse, just in terms of the time domain. Wall balls are one of my weaknesses. Ring dips for high reps are one of my weaknesses. I've been working on them a lot over the past year, but when you cram them all together in between, a couple hundred other reps, it's still pretty tough. But I was reasonably happy with how I pushed myself in that workout. It definitely hurt the most out of all of them, so I guess that means that I was trying reasonably hard. And then event 7 was a fun one. I was a little skeptical about how it would play out in terms of people needing to take breaks or whatever, but I really like the interplay of the reps were big enough on the pull-ups that they will challenge people to go unbroken, and doing those overhead squats, 8 reps is not super high, 205 pounds is not super high, but trying to get through 8 reps at 205 very quickly and unbroken after doing all those pull-ups is quite a challenge. And considering it's the last event, it's a short time duration, very high pressure situation, you really see who can sort of rise to the occasion, which we saw with Tyson Takasaki in our region. He earned his ticket to the games in spectacular fashion, and that was really the story of the weekend, jumping from, I think, 4th or 5th up to 2nd to win a ticket to California by 1 point. So my hat, or my toque, goes off to him for a pretty clutch event there. I'll finish with my thank yous. Obviously, the regional wouldn't be possible without the volunteers, the judges, the people setting up gear, checking in names, crossing people off the list. The whole weekend went really smooth and was very easy on the competitors because of the time and effort the volunteers and the event coordinators put in. So that was pretty awesome. I want to thank my sponsors, Epic Nutrients, for the last few years of providing me with some high quality fish oil that I credit to a lot of my recovery and reduced soreness after big events like this. Jacked RX, a group of guys that have been just overwhelming with their encouragement and support all year. They're providing me with a premium quality whey protein powder with a lot of other extra ingredients that you don't see from other brands. And they just came out with an awesome hydration product called Cocoa Water, which is basically powdered coconut water. That's been pretty instrumental in my my new nutritional sort of practices over the last few months. Rogue Fitness, obviously a big name in CrossFit. They've been incredibly supportive over the last couple of years, and they're pretty instrumental in allowing me to live and train like a pro athlete in my hopes of winning the CrossFit Games. And they were on point, all weekend. Their equipment was sound. Their setup was foolproof, and I'm hoping to see some pretty creative, exciting stuff at the games this year from the Rogue crew. And Synergy Health Management here in Victoria, local clinic. I'm in there, twice a week getting tune-ups. I like to think of myself as, a high-performance race car, and sure, they go fast on the track, but most of where the victory happens is behind the scenes in the garage, getting worked on by the mechanics. In particular, Dr. Christine Salmon came to the regional, worked on me each night after the events to get me in ship shape for the next day, and she's just been a godsend over the last couple of years, keeping me on the good side of that fine line between injury and elite performance. Most of all, I got to thank my mom and dad, who have been, my sponsors from day one. Literally, just so supportive of me in pursuing my dreams over the last, my whole life, but my CrossFit dreams over the last few years. I can't imagine trying to do this without their love and support and encouragement. And to see, my mom there on Sunday, on Mother's Day, giving up a day that is for her to sort of cheer me on and support me and watch me suffer. I'm just so thankful for her being there. My brother was able to make it to the regional, and he's doing the forest firefighting in BC, and he was able to come and bring his girlfriend by. So thanks to them for coming to watch. And Lindsay McCardle, who was beside me all weekend, literally putting clothes on and off me, putting food in my mouth. And she gave up her chance to compete at regionals this year, but she was still a huge factor in the regionals in that she was, just everything outside the competition floor was all her doing. And I'm never going to be able to repay that, but I'll certainly try with dinners and massages and whatnot. So it's about time for me to head in. The water's getting pretty clear. So thanks again to everyone for watching my videos and watching my workouts and supporting me on my quest to win the games. Hopefully I'll be taking one step closer to that at the end of July.